W5LFL, this is WB8TCZ, WB8 Tango Charlie Zulu.
At the tone, 14 hours, 52 minutes, coordinated universal time.
On November 28, 1983, the Space Shuttle Columbia STS-9 launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida, and it ended its mission on December 8, 1983, with a landing at Edwards Air Force Base. The mission had many firsts, including the first launch of the Space Lab, the first European crew member, the first non-career astronaut payload specialist, the first 6-person crew, and the first amateur radio station in space, which was operated by astronaut Owen Garriott, W5LFL. Owen Garriott had been in space about 10 years earlier as part of the 3-person crew of the Skylab 3 mission in 1973. He had a PhD in physics and was a consulting professor at Stanford University. In late November and early December, it was a very exciting time for me. I was home on break from college, and I was preparing for the Columbia mission by getting my station configured. The station I had at the time consisted of my satellite array, which included a cross 2-meter Yagi, which was mounted on a manual Azel mount, along with a helical antenna for 70 centimeters, an ICOM IC211, a Mirage power amplifier, and a code oscillator and key. There were a lot of local hams listening and hoping to work W5LFL, and I was listening to the initial orbits with some orbital information that I had received from a friend of mine about those that were going to be over our area. So I listened diligently for the first few orbits of the Columbia, but I heard nothing but noise in my receiver. And then one morning, I decided I was going to sleep in. Well, then I received a call from a friend of mine, WA8TXT, saying that he had heard and had called W5LFL. And I was really upset that I had missed that pass. So I made sure that I was on for all the remaining passes. And on the next few orbits or two, I did hear W5LFL with a really good signal at my QTH. And I called them on CW and phone, but I never made it through. But it was really exciting. And the first time I did hear W5LFL, I could hardly get my call out. And you'll hear that on one of the recordings from WA8TXT's QTH. He calls it the Big Gulp or something like that. WA8TXT did make it through, and he was one of the 350 that did make a two-way contact. And on the original tape that was released by the ARRL, you can hear him on both CW and phone. And I'm glad he made it. So sit back and enjoy listening to the recordings from both my QTH and from WA8TXT's QTH. Some, though, are edited, so they're a little shorter than they actually were, while some are full length, and you'll be able to experience what it was like to try to work the first amateur radio station in space, W5LFL.
Zero India Sugar and November Niner George Alpha, both of which are coming in very strong, 5x9 plus and even above that, and several other calls which I have on the tape recorder. I'll have to get them all sorted out when I get back on the ground. But as we continue on across the U.S., I'll be listening for more calls, W5LFL from the spacecraft Columbia, 250 kilometers high, calling, standing by for the next minute and a half.
At the tone, 22 hours, 32 minutes, coordinated universal time.
W5 Lima Foxtrot Lima in the spacecraft Columbia, and we're just coming down the Mississippi Valley right now, clear as a bell, and I can see the whole river up and down, trying to take pictures at the same time as run the ham station here. So those of you who can hear me, I'll just stay on the air a few more seconds and then stand by for your call. W5, oh, I've got to take a picture here though. W5 Lima Foxtrot Lima spacecraft Columbia 5 for about a minute and a half here for your signals. Go ahead.
Well, 13 hours, 36 minutes, coordinated universal time.
All right, returning call to K0 Roger India, K0 Roger India, and several others, including one on CW. And I'll have to get the rest of your calls sorted out on the tape later. But this is W5 Lima Foxtrot Lima in the spacecraft Columbia. Should be passing over Florida just about this time. Let me just check out the window. Well, turns out we got a time zone right now, so I don't know very much. I can't see it. It's going to land out one minute here. Once again, stand by for the next 10 to 20 seconds for your call. Go ahead. Just right down. W5LFL, this is WB8TCZ, WB8 Tango Charlie Zulu, WB8TCZ.
At the zone, 15 hours, 8 minutes.
5 LFL returning your calls, and there's a call coming back from 25. Got a little small headset that I've got, and it's all the background noise you've got in the spacecraft. However, your call signs are recorded, and I'll be able to decipher it better when I get back on the ground. So several of your call signs are recorded, and we just passed over Texas here about a minute ago. We should be traveling up through the mid-U.S. at this time. And W5LFL in the spacecraft Columbia is going to be listening once again for about 80 seconds for more calls back to the spacecraft. W5LFL, spacecraft Columbia, standing by.
At the zone, 15 hours, 9 minutes, coordinated universal time.
Hello Center will develop near 36 north, 73 west at 1200 GMT, then move northeast 20 knots while intensifying to a gale.
At the zone, 15
Okay, W5LFL in the spacecraft Columbia is returning calls to approximately W0 Mike Hotel. I'll have to get it more precise about W0 Mike Mexico and others in the northern U.S. We've just had a beautiful view, clear side of Houston, but most of the rest of the U.S. has been cloud covered. A little bit of a glimpse of Lake Michigan as we pass over there. So I'll listen one more time here for the next minute, and that'll be all for this North American pass. We're coming up on 23 hours and 10 minutes and 45 seconds MET. And Mark, and I'll be listening for the next 75 seconds for your call. Standing by.
At the tone, 15 hours, 11 minutes, coordinated universal time. North America. North America.
QS flight. LFL returning your calls, and there's a call coming back from K5. I'm sure I missed the last two letters. It's really difficult to pick those calls out in a little small headset that I've got, and with all the background noise we've got in the spacecraft. However, your call signs are all on my tape recorder, and I'll be able to decipher it better when I get back on the ground. So several of your call signs are recorded, and we just passed over Texas here about a minute ago. We should be traveling up through the mid-U.S. at this time. And W5LFL in the spacecraft Columbia is going to be listening once again for about 80 seconds for more calls back to the spacecraft. W5LFL, spacecraft Columbia, standing by. Okay, W5LFL in the spacecraft Columbia is returning calls to approximately W0 Mike Hotel. I'll have to get it more precisely off the tape, but about W0 Mike Hotel and others in the northern U.S. We've just had a beautiful view, clear side of Houston, but most of the rest of the U.S. is Lake Michigan as we pass over there. So I'll listen one more time here for the next minute, and that'll be all for this North American pass. We're coming up on 23 hours, 10 minutes and 45 seconds. MET, stand by. Mark. North America, calling QT North America and standing by for the next 60 seconds, over. W5, Lima Foxtrot Lima in the spacecraft Columbia, North America. Up to the east coast of the U.S. at this time, and calling CQ North America, W5 Lima Foxtrot Lima in the spacecraft Columbia. Is calling CQ, and I'll be standing by for your signal for your calls for the next 90 seconds, over. This is W5 Lima Foxtrot Lima, returning calls to William Alpha. Charlie. William HXC, you're on a downlink frequency. Which I have on my tape. 5 Lima Foxtrot Lima in the spacecraft Columbia is calling QT North America. having some trouble recording all your signals because of all the background noise we have here in the spacecraft. But I've got it all on tape, and we'll get them all logged correctly when I get back on the ground. So I'm calling for about the next 80 seconds for your call. Calling CQ North America, W5 Lima, Foxtrot Lima, and Spacecraft Columbia. Calling CQ from Spacecraft Columbia. W5 LFL will be shooting the band for the next 90 seconds to receive your call for you. Back on the ground. I'll continue now calling CQ for North America, most likely in Canadian area. We've passed over the U.S. into Canada now. W5 LFL will be tuning the band for the next 90 seconds for your calls. Go ahead. Victor, William, Colorado. On that last minute there. I've already acknowledged your previous moment, and this is W5. Those call signs along with others on my tape recorder. So I'll be calling CQ one more time here as we continue on across North America. Calling CQ from the spacecraft Columbia, W5 Lima, Foxtrot Lima, standing by for about a minute and a half for your calls. Over. Both of which are coming in very strong, 5x9 plus, and even above that, and several other calls which I have on the tape recorder. I'll have to get them all sorted out when I get back on the ground, but as we continue on across the U.S., I'll be listening for more calls, W5 LFL from the spacecraft Columbia, 250 kilometers high, calling CQ North America, and standing by for the next minute and a half. November 7, Alpha Romeo Echo on CW, and several other stations on phone. Lima in the spacecraft Columbia. W5 Lima, Foxtrot Lima in the spacecraft Columbia is returning your calls, and I'll be listening for other calls as we travel on down across the North American continent, and I'll be tuning the band now for another 90 seconds. For others who are wanting to call W5 LFL, please come in. Okay, W5 Lima, Foxtrot Lima, in the spacecraft Columbia. I see it's just crossing the snow line now in mid-U.S. and returning the call to W5 Fox Mexico, W5 Foxtrot Mexico, and several others. And I'll be tuning the band for other signals here as well. W5 Lima, Foxtrot Lima in spacecraft Columbia, 250 kilometers above the U.S., coming down pretty close to my own hometown here, if I can just pick it out on the map, but hardly have time to run the rig and look out the window and record signals at the same time. W5 Lima, Foxtrot Lima will be tuning the band for another minute and a quarter to receive your signals. Go ahead. W5 Lima, Foxtrot Lima in the spacecraft Columbia, and we're just coming down the Mississippi Valley right now, clear as a bell, and I can see the whole river up and down. Trying to take pictures at the same time as run the ham station here. So those of you who can hear me, I'll just stay on the air a few more seconds and then stand by for your call. W5, oh, I've got to take a picture here though. W5 Lima, Foxtrot Lima, spacecraft Columbia is standing by for about a minute and a half here for your signals. Go ahead. QA4 Echo Whiskey Alpha and several other stations. W5LFL on the spacecraft Columbia has logged your call signs, and a few more that I haven't had a chance to log as well. We'll get off the tape when I get back on the ground in a rather short time now. So W5LFL, spacecraft Columbia, will be calling CQ for additional stations in North America and tuning the band for the next minute and 10 seconds. Over. Okay, W5, leaving the mark. Still a beautiful clear day, having a hard time keeping my eyes out the window as we go on up the East Coast here. But I've got several of your calls on tape, and I'll be logging those when I get back on the ground. W5LFL, Columbia, calling CQ North America, and standing by for the next minute and 30 seconds. Over. Alright, W5, Lima Foxtrot Lima, spacecraft Columbia, calling CQ North America, calling CQ North America from the spacecraft Columbia, just passing right up the East Coast on a beautiful clear morning. Calling CQ North America from the spacecraft Columbia, W5LFL, will be... I believe it's Tango George Tango, but I'm not sure. I have to get it off the tape, and several other voice calls that I'll get off the tape. W5 Lima Foxtrot from spacecraft Columbia. Several other call for North America, and standing by for your calls for the next 1.5 minutes. Over.
I hope you enjoyed this look back at the first amateur radio station in space, Owen Garriott, W5LFL, aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia STS-9 over 40 years ago. Thanks for coming to the Radio Amateur channel, and I hope you will like and subscribe. Have a great day, 73.